Good evening and welcome to this year's 8th grade classroom production of Cheaper by the Dozen. It's a true story about the Gilbert family, a family with 12 kids with a motion studies expert for a father. Please remember that this is a live performance. Children in the front, remember that you need to be quiet so you don't distract the actors. Audience, we will have an intermission, so please remain seated during the performance. It will be dark in the room, so we don't want anyone to fall and get hurt. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Cheaper by the Dozen.
Something else.
Songs like that make you remember.
I thought I heard a whistle. Like Dad used to whistle assembly call.
How can you hear that?
There. Funny how sound stays with you.
It's Dad that stays with you.
Because he had enough gall to be divided into 3 parts. I remember once, Mother always said, when the United States entered the First World War, Dad telegraphed President Wilson, "Arriving Washington, 7 p.m. If you don't know how to use me, I'll tell you how."
He showed them how to save time assembling machine guns.
But you couldn't tell where Dad's scientific management ended and his family life began. Even buttoning his vest from bottom to top to save 4 seconds.
But he could walk into the Zeiss Works in Germany or the Pierce Aeroplan in this country and say he'd speed up production 1/4. And then do it.
And what works in the factory will work in the home. I guess for so many of us, it was scientific management or bedlam.
Even with a dozen, I don't think Dad was satisfied. I remember him looking us over and then saying to Mother, "Only 12? But never mind, Lily. You did the best you could."
I remember once, when Dad came home from a trip, and Mother asked him if everything had run smoothly. And Dad said, "Oh, I only had trouble with that one there, but a good spanking brought him into line." Mother had to say, "That's not one of ours, dear. He belongs next door."
I remember. The song coming from down the street. We used to sing that song.
3-part harmony.
The whole family rolling along in the Pierce Arrow, singing Love's Old Sweet Song. Dad would cock his hat to the side of his head, and Mother would snuggle up against him as if she were cold. I remember her turning around once between songs and saying, "Right now is the happiest time in the world."
Maybe it was.
Maybe that's the time in the family, when you're all together, when nothing's happened to any one of you.
Right now is the happiest time in the world. Remember when she said it again?
Dad, with his bad heart, leaving to lecture at the World Management Conference at Europe. He was about to go, and he whistled assembly call. We all came running, and we were all together. It was the last time. I remember he was trying to hug us all, and then Mother said it.
But that's not the way I remember Dad best. I remember him chalking our fingers and the typewriter keys, so that even the babies were learning the touch system. Or taking movies of us, washing dishes, so he could analyze them and eliminate waste motion.
Painting diagrams on the wall to show the solar system, or the difference between meters and yards, tapping out Morse code, and telling those who understood where candy was hidden.
And how he hated distractions. Remember how he used to yell at those 2 noisy canaries?
The one he named "Shut Up" and the other "You Heard Me."
That's still not the way I remember Dad best. I remember him bounding up the steps with his arms full, and he'd be bustling to try out some new idea. He'd come roaring into the living room and whistle assembly call. That meant come running.
I wasn't sure.
Come on, let's go. We're late. Hey, get over my Let me get my place. Hey. 14 seconds.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty good, isn't it, Dad?
Only 12 seconds off the record. Where's your mother?
Upstairs with the babies.
I had so many children because I thought anything your mother and I teamed up on was sure to be a success. Now I'm not so sure. Now, where can I put these?
What's in that box, Dad?
Is there something in that box for us?
Sure. No, do you mean these boxes?
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Maybe the next day.
Oh,
Daddy.
Please.
Next week sometime.
tell us now.
You're going to anyway.
You know you will.
Daddy.
Fine. These are 2 Victrolas and some records.
Well, we have the Victrola.
Downstairs.
Well,
These are for the upstairs bathrooms. One for the boys' bathrooms, one for the girls' bathroom.
the bathrooms.
I bet we'll be the only family in town with a Victrola in every bath.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I was thinking about how much time we wasted in the bathroom. And at first I thought it was an unavoidable delay.
Here
then
we go.
Then I thought of these Victrolas. You're to play them every morning while brushing teeth, washing faces, doing
Why?
homework, etc. Well, does there have to be a why for everything?
There doesn't have to be, but with you there always is. When you start talking about Victrolas, dance music isn't the first thing that comes into our minds.
I admit, it's not dance music.
You might start thinking about dances.
Well, what kind of record?
Very informative, educational, and a bit fun, too. Language lessons. French and German. You don't have to consciously listen to them. Just play them, and finally they'll make an impression.
Not every morning in the bathroom.
I paid $160 for this equipment.
They're not even unwrapped. Maybe you could get your money back, Dad.
I don't want my money back. And if these records aren't playing from the minute you get up till you come down to breakfast, I'll know the reason why.
One reason. It's impossible to change records while in the bathtub.
Well, you can take a bath in the time it takes a record to play. That's why you're taught motion study.
Well, you never taught us anything about taking a bath.
I'll now demonstrate how to take a bath without waist motions. Dan and Fred, bring over that little rug. We'll pretend it's a bathtub.
Right now?
Now, yes, at once. Now, I'm in the bathroom.
Yes, Dad.
Follow this one simple continuous motion. Down the top of the left arm, up the top of the left arm, down the left side. Sip soap, same motion, other side.
Don't forget to bath your neck. Oh, Mother, hi.
Hello, boss. Not forgetting a thing.
Glad to see you're home early. What's all the racket?
Fingernail inspection.
How about yours? Biting them again?
Let's see yours. Told you not to wash the dishes by yourself.
There's already too much work for the cook to do.
I'll handle that. Dishes or bathing, it's all the same thing. Just a matter of saving motions. Now, I've taught you all about taking a bath. Put the rug back and take the Victrolas upstairs. Now, boss, I'll talk to the cook.
Let's both talk to her.
Which goes in which bathroom? We'll give the girls the French.
I much prefer French.
Yahoo!
Is Yahoo French or German?
I think it's Spanish.
Dad has a system for everything, even conjugating French and German verbs in the bathtub.
I wish he'd think of a system for interesting a couple boys at school that I know.
In what?
In me.
A person has to think of some things for themselves. I did. What do you mean? I'm going to have it out with him. Have what out? Somebody has to, and I'm the oldest.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to stop dressing like a freak. Aren't you tired of always thinking that you're a freak? Yes, but
Dad,
I don't care what Dad says.
I'm hearing you.
Let him. Cotton stockings, no wonder we never get asked out to dance. No boy would dare be seen with us. The way it is, I'll be the only girl to ever go through Montclair High without once being asked to a dance. Whenever the telephone rings, it's just some girl. You know, a boy called yesterday. He wanted my notes on the Second Punic War.
You think it would impress fellows, knowing things like touch system and Morse code?
But it doesn't matter at all. I had to do something. I bought some things, up-to-date things, like the other girls wear. And they look absolutely snaky.
Careful, you might walk in any minute.
Let him. I'm not a sneak. Well, what'd you get? Short under things and silk stockings. Silk stockings?
But when Dad finds out...
They're in this package, and I'm going to wear them. And I'm going to be asked out to dances, and a lot of boys will want to dance with me, and I'll be a really popular girl. And we'll all be having dates and going to dances?
And we can talk about our different boyfriends and compare notes and... Oh, golly!
Silk stockings.
Bye, Jingo.
Oh, here's Dad.
Pretty quick.
my motion study.
Motion study is fine, as long as it's somebody else's motions you're studying.
Mrs. Fitzgerald, you'd better get along with dinner. My husband told you he'd take care of it.
Lincoln freed the slaves. All but one. All but one.
We'll handle this the same way we would in a factory.
It isn't exactly the same.
Exactly. And what works in the factory...
Yes, dear.
What is it?
12 seconds. Now I've got a wonderful idea to try out. We're going to set up a family council. Your mother's not going to run this household anymore. I'm not going to either.
Who?
You are. All of us. Through a democratic family council. We'll have a family democracy. Everybody votes. You'll decide things for yourselves. You'll work out the questions that come up.
Yeah, that's great.
You know how I get factories to set up joint employer-employee boards to make assignments on the basis of personal aptitude?
Yes, but what kind of assignment?
Every kind of assignment. This and that, even work assignments. Now you're going to love this, and it's a great step forward. You'll see. The Gilbert Family Council is going into session right now. Frank, bring your mother a chair. All of you, arrange yourselves. We'll get right into the business before us. Now I call this meeting to order. That means quiet. You'll see I'm installed here as your chairman. I assume there are no objections. The chair, hearing no objections.
Mr. Chairman.
Out of order.
Well, since this is going to be a democratic council, I think the chairman should represent the common people.
You're very much out of order. The chair has the floor.
Well, you said you heard no objections, and I wish to object.
Out of order means out of order. Now sit down. Now the first job of the council is to apportion the necessary work about the house. How do you want to divide the work?
I don't think anyone wants to divide the work or otherwise be associated with it in any way, shape, or form.
In a democracy, everybody speaks. So start speaking. Dan, I recognize you. What do you think about it? I'm warning you, speak.
Well, I think that Tom and Mrs. Fitzgerald should do the work. They do get paid for it.
Sit down, you're no longer recognized. Bill, I recognize you.
I think Tom and Miss Fitzgerald have enough work as it is. So we should hire more workers.
You're out of order too. What now, boss?
Of course, we could hire more helpers. But that means cutting back somewhere else. We could cut out all allowances, moving pictures, new clothes, and so forth.
Do I hear a motion to that effect? Who wants to cut out allowances, moving pictures?
Seriously, we'll all have to help.
Well, I move the boys, cut the grass, and rake the leaves.
And I move the girls sweep, dust, and do supper dishes.
And everyone makes his own bed,
Except the chairman.
except the chairman.
I second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, if there's no further business...
Chairman, I understand the purchase of a new rug is intended.
Yes, it is.
Can the budget afford such a rug?
Well, I don't know. Sounds like he has a good point, boss.
I plan to spend $100.
I move we spend no more than $95.
I second that motion, too. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Looks like you lose on that one, boss. Now, if there's any further business...
Mr. Chairman, I raise that we spend the $5 we just saved on a new collie puppy.
Out of order. Very much out of order.
A dog would be a pet, and everyone could pet him. And I would be his master.
A dog would sleep at the foot of my bed, and I would wash him when he's dirty.
A dog would be an accursed nuisance. He would sleep at the foot of my bed. No one would wash him. He'd possibly be our master.
Let's vote.
And presently a public extravagance. This council is adjourned. Meeting adjourned. That's all.
I'm afraid you lose on that one, boss.
I think this council's a very good idea.
There's lots of things we should take up.
I suppose next you'll want ponies, roasters, trips to Hawaii, silk stockings.
Mr. Chairman,
What is it?
there's still some further business I wish to place before the council. And it's important.
Yes?
I'll show you. I'm not hiding a thing. I want the whole family to see.
Shall I bring down the babies?
Be serious.
What is it?
Well, to begin with, these underthings, these teddies, I'm going to wear them.
You are not. I won't let you out of the house with them.
I bought them with my own money.
You're going to bring them right back to the store.
There's only one other girl in school besides us who doesn't wear a teddy.
And if you don't believe us, you can come to school and see.
That won't be necessary.
I'm glad there's one other sensible girl in school besides you.
Oh, but she doesn't even wear a
And if
teddy.
you don't believe us, you
That
can come.
still won't be necessary.
Boy crazy, Dad.
Yeah, it's all they ever talk about.
Yeah, you should see him eyeing the boys in the hall.
You little
or in the
snake!
lunchroom.
Shame on you!
Well, you might as well know. It isn't just teddies. I bought silk stockings.
No!
And you didn't!
I can see right through them. You might as well go bare-legged wear these. They're like the last of the 7 veils. You know what happens when you go around showing your legs through silk stockings?
What?
Never mind.
You don't want us to be wallflowers.
I'd rather raise wallflowers than clinging vines.
I'm going to wear these. I'm not going to be a wallflower anymore.
And I'm going to wear silk stockings too.
And me.
I won't let you out of the house with them.
Don't you see, Dad? I haven't even been asked out anymore for a plain ordinary vanilla soda.
Well, if it's vanilla sodas you want.
Dad!
And as for silk stockings, boys don't get serious with the kind of girl who runs around wearing those. They just run around with them.
You know, it's a dead giveaway to be so suspicious. It denotes a misspent youth.
Nobody asked you. Listen to me, Anne. When a man picks his wife, he wants someone he can respect.
Oh, they certainly respect me. I'm the most respected girl in the whole school. The boys respect me so much they hardly even look at me.
Come back here. I'm not going to let you run around with a whole bunch of boys. I mean, look at the fun we have here with our
You
projects.
don't understand, Dad. You don't understand at all. I wish your job was selling shoes. And you only had 1 or 2 children. And none of them was me.
Well, boys, we might as well get started on the yard.
Let's go give a hand in the kitchen.
Boss, what is it I don't understand?
High school girls.
Remember when we decided to have a dozen children? Remember what I suggested?
You suggested we have all boys.
I'm not blaming you, boss, but you should have followed my suggestion. Now, though, high school girls, only one way to deal with this.
Just like in a factory?
Aaron,
What, Frank?
why doesn't Dad want you girls having dates and wearing silk stockings all the time?
I don't know why.
But it's Dad. He has to have a reason. He wouldn't do it without a reason, would he? Well, what could the reason be? I remember one time, I think it was about a week after Aunt showed Dad the silk stockings.
I remember the battle over those stockings.
After that, Dad and Dr. Burton went upstairs, and they had this long conference. And when they came down, Dad was laughing.
And it just passed like any ordinary conversation. We didn't even have a suspicion.
That's the time.
Gosh, Frank, when a man with a dozen children gets told his heart's on the blink, what's he gonna do?
That's what I'm getting at. Maybe that was the reason Dad didn't want you girls running around with boys and wearing silk stockings.
It wouldn't contribute to skipping grades at school.
Don't you see? The further along we were in school, the more we knew about everything. The easier it would be later on.
Of course.
We'd be able to take care of ourselves better. There'd be less of a load on mothers.
I guess boys and things, Dad must have realized it was a shocking waste of time.
I think the first boy to call, he came on the same night that Dad had the conference with Dr. Burton.
I think they went upstairs after dinner that night.
That's right. You and I were over there playing checkers.
And I was wishing that the phone would ring and it would be some fullback who was dying to meet me. I wasn't paying much attention to the checkers, or even to Dad.
You should realize then. You should realize at the time what the doctor was saying to Dad.
But at the time, it seemed so casual, like any ordinary conversation might pass.
You were sitting there, and I was sitting here.
And we hardly noticed. I guess I was daydreaming.
Your move.
What?
Your move.
Oh,
You sure about that?
of course I'm sure. I suppose you're proud of yourself?
A number again?
Sure.
Quacks! You're all quacks!
I hear it so much there must be something to it.
We Gilbert are rugged pioneer stock. We have no time for such nonsense as getting sick.
What about the Gilbert measles epidemic last spring?
I'm sure even the pioneers got the measles.
It's possible.
You old fake, and now you're telling me I shouldn't take out any 3-year magazine subscriptions.
Absolute waste of money.
How about 1 year?
If I were you, I'd think about saving my money. I'd ask about short-term subscriptions. Maybe 6 months.
That's a mighty short-term subscription.
A man with your responsibilities who doesn't want to waste his money.
Oh, I don't believe a word you say. Besides, I feel too good, and I'm far too busy.
Fine, then I won't have to worry about it. See you next week.
You bet you will.
What magazine you subscribed for, Dad?
Never you mind. What's this?
We finished our homework.
That's fine, but but if you do more, you could eventually skip a grade.
But I just skipped a grade last year.
Well, you could always try for next year. I don't want you children held back by a school system geared towards the children of average parents. Silk stocking.
I've been wearing them at school, and I guess you might as well know it.
I suppose next you'll want to be painting yourself.
Everyone uses makeup nowadays.
And they don't call it painting anymore.
I don't care what they call it. I won't have any painted women in this household.
What you want is a house full of old maids.
What I want is for you to get ahead with the things that matter, without having me hounding you all the time. And that's the topic for tonight's discussion, skipping grades in school.
I thought we voted all topics would be of general interest.
I mean, and better organization, because that's always of general interest.
Your move.
Really?
Of course. You sure about that?
Of course I'm sure.
Okay.
Hey!
Another game.
No.
Get him out of here!
Of all the dumb dogs.
Well, what do you expect for $5?
I'm on Dad's bed again.
He's always on Dad's side. He's crazy about Dad.
He was right about the dog. Now we'll think he's right about everything.
Clothes, makeup, and everything.
They're still hoping the boys will go mad over them.
What's so ridiculous about that?
Nothing. Only,
Only what?
If you have anything to say,
well, we've known you all our lives. I mean, maybe with a boy who didn't know you so well, you might have a chance.
Thanks for the compliment.
I mean, I think you're really good at swimming and at tennis.
we don't care for your opinion.
Other boys don't feel like that about us.
Do they?
I've never heard the subject mentioned.
If you want an honest, frank
We
answer,
don't.
those silk stockings, what good did they do anyway?
Someday you're going to be surprised. Someday that phone is going to ring, and it is going to be...
Someone for Dad. Hello? You want to talk to who? You're absolutely sure. You haven't got her mixed up with anyone else? You don't mean Ann Gilbert? With the freckles, you know? Her? Oh God. Please don't hang up. No, don't hang up. Are you still there? Oh, please don't hang up. Hey, imagine! Hey, a boy calling for you!
Give me that!
Imagine!
Oh, little snakes! Hello? Yes, this is Ann.
Go ahead, talk to him.
I can't.
Oh, I'll take care of them.
We were only kidding!
I'll fracture your skull.
Don't you mean
You bet I mean it.
No, nothing's the matter. What? Where have I been all your life? Well, mostly I've been right here.
Go ahead, talk to him.
I'd love to have a soda with you down at the drugstore. What? Tonight?
Wait.
You're driving right over.
And it's a school night.
You don't have a permission. I don't have permission.
Oh, that'll be fine. Give a little toot on your horn when you get here. I'll be seeing you.
Who was it?
Joe Scale.
A cheerleader and a car too.
I know. He's a little undersized.
Well, what do you expect? You can't expect to start with the captain of the football team. But if some boys start taking us out, then other boys are bound to notice us. Maybe.
He has the best car in school. You should hear it backfire.
If Dad lets you go,
He might have a project.
Oh, don't you see? I don't know when I'll get another chance. I bet almost everyone will be down at the drugstore. And boys, this is the start of everything. Boys notice girls that other boys notice, and soon you'll be getting popular and going out on dates, and then you'll meet someone you really want to meet.
And if Dad's not as strict on you, then he can't be so strict on us.
See? Exactly. The start of everything. Oh, Mother.
Your father will be down in a minute. He has some last-minute things for the council to take up.
Mother, there was a phone call. A boy called me.
That's nice.
I think he's a very well-brought-up boy.
He's the cheerleader.
He asked if I could go have a soda with him down at the drugstore.
When?
Tonight. He's driving right over.
He has his own car.
I don't think tonight's a very good night.
If I break the first date I've ever had, there won't be any other night.
I think some other night.
When?
Please, Mother. Say something to Dad, please.
I wish. Some other time. Please, Mother. I suppose we could bring it up at the end of the meeting if you'll be especially cooperative. I hope this boy is a quiet and reassuring type.
Oh, he is.
and he's small too, only this high.
Reassuring.
We'll see you skulls get fractured.
Bill, put down that umbrella.
Now, Frank, get your mother a chair. We'll begin this meeting.
We were explaining things to the dog.
We made a new bed. Under the clothes, be sure to stay there.
By jingo, he'd better. Now, I'm going to start the meeting. If there are any topics of general interest you'd like to bring up before we get into the general business of the meeting, hearing none,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go on the topic of roller skates.
not of general interest.
Oh, I'm interested.
Sit down.
Mr.
Now,
Chairman, there's one problem. You always decide what's of general interest. That's not fair. It's not very democratic.
nonsense. I always favor a family discussion of general interest before getting into the business of the meeting. And I don't recall ever being unreasonable as to subject matter,
I might sometimes see a boy that's in my history class.
not of general interest.
Oh, we are. I mean, he is. We're all very interested.
I'm not. Bored stiff. Now, Amanda said she might sometimes see, a two-headed boy that goes into the class. Now, that would be of general interest.
I'd be very interested in a two-headed boy.
Now, I've got a really first-rate topic. I have a new system of multiplication. It's bound to make an impression on your math teachers. But before we get into that, I have an important announcement to make. I've been invited to speak at the World Management Conference in London.
Wow.
But by jingo, I'll have this family in smooth running condition before I leave, without a big load on your mother.
They're not such a load.
Now, I've organized a purchasing committee, which is to buy food, clothes, and equipment. A utilities officer will levy 2-cent fines on wasters of water and electricity. And the projects committee will see all work is completed on time. That, your mother has enough to do as it is.
Well, that's a great idea, Dad, and I think we're all in favor, and I move we adjourn.
It's getting late.
We need more system. I'm installing work charts in the bathroom. You're to initial them every day after doing homework, brushing teeth, taking baths, etc.
I think we're all in favor, and I think we should adjourn.
I second the motion.
We need to have the most efficient house in the whole world. That way, you'll have more time for your studies, because the most important thing in the world is your studies.
Mr. Chairman, please, I move we adjourn.
The most important thing in the world is your studies, and anything that detracts from that, that would be terrible. I mean, anything that detracts from that. And anything that detracts from that Your studies. Are you in any way responsible for this?
Yes I am.
Great Caesar's ghost. What's that written on the side of that car? Jump in, sardine, here's your tin.
There's one. I think it might be alright.
I don't have my homework.
But we have a mathematics project.
Can I get it from Ern later?
Please tell him to stop that.
Okay. Joe, park the car and come in. Please, God.
No, Frank. I won't have you embarrass Anne.
What do you want me to do then? Sit in the kitchen?
We're going to have a nice talk before you say anything to that boy. He could be very nice.
He's the cheerleader.
Oh, that settles it then. Anyone would think boys were more important than mathematics projects.
Now what?
Hey, the gang's down here.
These are my brothers and my sisters.
Some families.
You're the first cheerleader we ever saw up close.
Say, we better shove off. We're getting late.
I think my father would like to meet you first.
I think that's a good idea.
The gang's all down there. We gotta get going.
Have you got time to show us how you lead a cheer?
Yeah, please show us the cheer.
That won't be necessary. Sure thing. No. Please, no, really.
What are you worrying about? It's only take a minute. I'll show you one cheer, then we'll get going. Okay? Okay.
Oh. Please.
All right. Let's have a hoorah-ray, and it's higher from Montclair High. Hoorah-ray, I want to hear you holler now. Hoorah-ray.
Frank.
Father, I'd like you to meet Joe Scales.
How do you do, young man?
Hiya, Pop.
Frank.
He asked me if I could go have a photo with him down at the drugstore. I think it wouldn't be bad.
Okay, I'm not unreasonable.
You mean I can go?
Sure, I have time for about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes.
For what?
To chaperone you, of course.
With me?
He didn't think I was letting her out of the house alone with you.
With me?
Then it'd take me more than 15 minutes to answer that.
To the drugstore, followed, right in front of everybody, followed by a girl's father.
What's wrong with me?
That young man is a rhetorical question.
I don't care if it is. I'm not going to be followed in any drugstore.
You know, I trust my children. It's you I don't trust.
This is how you feel? I'm leaving. I'll get someone else.
Please,
A
don't.
judicious decision.
Don't touch no flesh and blood.
Of course I trust Anne. Trust all my children. Again, it's you I don't trust.
Please, Joe.
Someday, eh? We don't tell the guys at the drugstore what happened to me at Gilbreth.
You're not going to tell everyone?
It isn't his fault.
Wait till they hear you. Get no more dates like me.
Oh, please, Joe, please.
Let's have a hoorah, right, and the tiger with us.
Dad! Joe, come back! I don't see how much harm one soda could have done.
Cheerleaders, absolute waste of time. Now, let's just do a little on the mathematics project, and then I'll take you all to the movies. We'll have tons of candy and popcorn and have a wonderful time.
No one in this family understands me. I wish I were dead.
What a thing to wish. Now, let's get into the mathematics. To multiply 46 times 46, first find out how much more 46 is than 25. Then find out how much less 46 is than 50. That's 4. Square it, you get 16, and you keep continuing.